So here I have an assortment of different items. I have things like rubber gloves, a mask, sanitizing spray. All that stuff is kind of pandemic related. A cage is kind of symbolic of the lockdowns and being stuck at home. I've got a peach for the impeachment trials. Some locks for lockdown again. So I've selected my items. Not all of them will make it into the final still life, but I want to have a variety of different things I can choose from. Now, what I like is that I have things that are different sizes, different textures, and kind of just have different feels to them. And that creates kind of an interesting field visually for the sculpture. Still life, sorry, it's been a long day. Now, I also have a blanket here, or this is actually a flat sheet. The reason I have this is I'm going to create a backdrop with it to kind of keep things simple. I don't want to have all this mess back here with all that stuff in my still life. You want to simplify it, so have like a blank wall behind your still life, or find a plain color quilt or sheet, and you can then like hang it up. And all of a sudden, when I start putting my objects down and placing them intentionally, I don't have all that jumbled mess in the background. Yeah, this is kind of wrinkly, but it will work. I really like the way that this is curving through here. And I may just kind of jostle this stuff a little bit to get, yeah, I like that. Okay, so now that I have my backdrop set, I'm going to start placing my objects. So maybe I'll try something a little quarantine-y, a little coronavirus-y. Let's see. All right, so here I go. I'm looking through my camera, not taking a panorama. I've got all this stuff, I've got all this excess information. I'm going to zoom in on what I think is an interesting part of this. You can try and change the angle. It's good to have different angles of the same setup. Zoom in. What I like about this one here is that it's kind of got a triangular shape to it, and that's kind of interesting to me. So I'm going to play with that, see if I can kind of off-center it. Maybe I move some things around. I like to have things overlapping. When things are overlapping, It creates a little bit more interest. Can't really tell what the glove is here, so I'm going to mess with this to see if I can get it to look more glovey. Okay, now I'm going to stop and reframe it with some other objects. So I kind of like this idea, and this could even be, you know, its own painting with just two objects. But it's hard to, oh, that looks better. It's hard to get everything the way I want it to be. So let me try and turn this, keeping in mind my different angles. Now I want to show you something else. Light source is a big factor in creating your still life. Let's say you get just the right still life, you have it just the way you want it. But if you have all the lights on, it can look kind of washed out. When I create a light source from one direction, I then get more interesting shadows. Okay? An easy way to do this is just open a window and turn off the lights in your room. You could also bring in a lamp and set it up and shine it down. So now, I'm going to go big. I'm going to include it all. And I'm really going to work to get things the way I want them to look. It went smoother in my imagination. Starting to come together, but I don't really see the locks. I like the way that the glove separates from the peach and creates some separation between something that's kind of a similar color. The locks need some work. Let me try moving the mask. It seems to be not as prominent as I would want it to be. So now I'm starting to do some other things with it. It's coming together, and I'll show you some more examples in just a second. Okay, so I've switched it up to a much shorter still life of smaller objects. So this angle probably isn't going to do because I don't really see much of all of my objects. That's kind of cool. Maybe it could work. I'm going to take a shot of it just in case. But I think this looks a little better. I like a few different things about this. I like the elastic band, and it's a kind of interesting element visually. I like the bright peach and with all the kind of neutrals. I like the little nose piece of metal there. That's kind of cool looking. It mimics a lot of the different shadows I'm seeing. So a few things to think about while you're setting up your still life. Just to recap, have a variety of different objects. Layer them in space. Simplify your background. Zoom in. Let's see, what else? Singular light source, it's a big help. And just mess around with it. Have some fun. Don't rush it. Don't just throw stuff together. You know, experiment with the way things are positioned and the way they look. Change the angles. Whatever you need to do. All right, well, do your best. I look forward to seeing what you come up with.